You can see we share the duties of first violins. Now they're switching so another group can take over on first violins. That first piece really had the fortunate honor to meet the composer of that piece. He lives in, is an African-American composer from Oklahoma City, but he came up to the Minnesota Music Educators Convention just 2 weeks ago for a world premiere of 2 of his pieces. He's sort of an up-and-coming, well-known composer. That piece we just did was just written in 2023, so it's only a year old. And he had a piece that was commissioned by the McPhail String Orchestra that they performed at the convention, and then Monona State University down, their band was also premiering one of his pieces at the convention as well. So somebody who we're going to be probably seeing a lot more in our next few concerts. So the next piece there, if you don't know what a gamelan is, just tell you a little bit of background on that. It's originally Javanese and Sudanese and Balinese. They've each got little different versions of this, but it's like the original orchestra going back like a couple thousand years. And they're mostly percussion instruments usually. So we're going to be joined by Emily Anderson on percussion, because you can't do a percussion piece without a percussionist. So a lot of the instruments are pitch percussion. So this is meant to sort of represent this. It's also, this piece was originally written for the Cirque du Soleil. If you know that, it's the famous circus. They do shows and, and this was one of their show pieces. So it's got a lot of influence too of like the erhu style, where lots of sliding around the instrument, because the erhu only has 2 strings, so they do a lot of shifting and sliding. So I've been trying to encourage them to do some sliding. Right? They're going to do that, right? Of course. Yeah, we practiced it, so it's going to be great. So. a really cool percussion class here at Coon High School, and Emily was in that class. She also plays with the band percussion, but she's also in the world drumming class, where they've been doing a lot of hand percussion. That's what they do, a lot of music from the Caribbean and from Africa, Senegal, and from, I'm trying to think other, lots of places around the world. It's a world music, so great. Our last piece we're going to play, before we do that, I want to just mention some students who are in our District Honors Orchestra. They're coming up on their concert on Monday. So if you would please stand if you're in our District Honors Orchestra. And I should say the bass player, Cody, is also, he was standing the whole time, but he's also in that group, yeah. Just to make sure, okay, yeah. Okay. We have some leaders in the group as well. I know that Cody's like first chair cello. He does play cello, by the way. It's, you know, he's not, so he's also a cello player. And then I believe it was Vidal, right, is concertmaster of the orchestra. So we have a couple of leaders in our orchestra. These are district-wide, all 5 high schools, plus all 6 middle schools represented. So again, another big round of applause for those 2 for being section leaders. Well, our last piece we're going to play for you, just a little bit about the piece. You probably recognize the last movement, In the Hall of the Mountain King. That's the most famous one. But they wrote there's a play called Peer Gynt by, it's Henrik Ibsen, who's a Norwegian playwright, and he wrote music for the whole play. But there were certain pieces that were more popular than others, so then he arranged them in a suite that we do. Basically, this is what the arrangement we have is. And so there's 3 movements in there. You can see I think it mentions in your program, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Morning Mood, Isa's Death, and In the Hall of the Mountain King. So Morning Mood is sort of, so a little bit about Peer Gynt. He's sort of a, typical teenager. He gets into a lot of trouble. He's on adventures. He's looking to see the world. So the Morning Mood is sort of him like taking off for the world, thinking, hey, I'm going to have a great life. I'm looking forward to all the cool things I'm going to do. See you later, my old town. I'm so out of here. So that's sort of what happens. Well, then while he's on all of his journeys, his mom dies, and he does come back, and that's Aza's death. Aza's his mom. And so there's sort of a sad, melancholy, like, oh, I missed out on so much. I left that behind, and look what I missed out on. And then in the Hall of the Mountain King is another adventure he has. He sort of gets a little flirtatious with the princess of the, let's see, what is it? The king of the trolls, which is the Mountain King. And so he says, you have to marry my daughter now. And he's like, I don't want to marry your daughter. So then they're chasing him around all these trolls throughout the mountain, and he's trying to get away. So you could decide what it sounds like in the end, whether he gets away or whether they get him. Okay, anyway. All right. Oh, and it is a 3-movement work, so we ask that you hold applause until the end of In the Hall of the Mountain King. As we switch orchestras, I know that you have on the back page of your program a list of all the upcoming concerts. There's a couple things I didn't include in there. Just going to mention real quick. There's a band concert coming up Thursday. Oh, that's tomorrow. So they'll be in here again tomorrow night with performing as well. And then also there's a jazz band concert next week. I think that's on Thursday the 7th as well. So there's a lot of things coming up still before the end of the trimester. You also see information listed in there about our contest on Saturday, Spring String Fling coming up in April, the large group contest in April as well, and our Pops concert at the end of the year. And just a brief mention about our Chicago trip for next year. I don't know if the students mentioned that, but we're taking a trip, much like we did to New York last year. We're going to Chicago over spring break in 2025. So a couple of things coming up there as well. Yeah, we also switch violin sections in this orchestra. Again, there's a lot of higher parts and then lower parts, and so if they don't play first violin, they don't learn A string notes. If they don't play second violin, they don't learn the G string notes, so it's good for both. A couple of other things about the first piece. It's such a beautiful piece. It's such a tragic tale, though. If you don't know the story, it's about Odette, who's transported into becoming a swan by this evil baron. And so it's about the tragic love story between her and Siegfried. So anyway, and the next piece, Yukiko Nishimura is a favorite composer of these students. I think every orchestra now in the past 12 months has played at least one of her pieces. And so they keep picking these pieces and they say, can we do the same? I was like, I don't want to put all of the same pieces by the same composer on the program. So I think you'll enjoy this one, the Moonstone. She's a Japanese-American composer, grew up in Japan, educated in Japan, and then came to the United States to do graduate work and then just stayed and is continuing to compose a lot of beautiful pieces. So the next piece you're going to recognize some of. Grab my notes because I'm going to mess up the name if I don't read it here. Okay. You're going to recognize there's 3 folk songs in the piece. The famous one is the last one, Korobushka, which is also known as the Tetris theme. I know that we were a little addicted for a while in my family with playing Tetris. Back like 20 years ago. But anyway, but still, it's a fun little song. You also notice we're joined by 2 bass players, and if some of the students may have told you, but we're very fortunate. They're both my private bass students. I teach a lot of bass students. They're both from Coon Rapids, but they don't go to school here. They're joining us just for playing in the orchestra right now, which is really fun to have. So I really appreciate them coming in on just a few rehearsals, and means they have to get up earlier than they usually do some days. Yeah, to come into school and join us here at the high school. So I'll give them a round of applause. I want to thank them. We got to grow some more real bass players here in the high school program. We got to keep growing some more. So, but it's fun to have them join us. And like I said, they both been studying privately. Matthew, the first chair player, he has been studying since he was in first grade. So, you should have seen the bass he had when he was in first grade. It was like this cute. Anyway. So as you can see, there's 3 main orchestras. There's actually 4 orchestras performing today. 3 of them are classes here. The one you're going to hear next is our Cardinal Strings. It's a chamber orchestra. Talk about meeting early, 6:45 in the morning. Yeah, orchestra, you can just come down this aisle. Cardinal Strings down this aisle. Here, just come down this way. Yeah, all right. We didn't practice. It's okay. All right, and then we also have other extracurricular groups. We've got a fiddle club. There's an after-school orchestra that was started by some students. That's what they call it, the after-school orchestra, because guess when it meets? After school. Okay, anyway. And then we did some mentoring in the fall, as we also had a music listening club that went to the Regions contest at the And we also have many, many other things. United Sound, we have President of United Sound is one of our cellists right here, yeah. And so we have many, many students involved in a lot of different activities. We're just getting started with the musical as well. And so a lot of the students on stage that you see are not only playing Pitt, but many of them are in the cast in the show. So it's really a lot of very, very dynamic and very involved students here. Very lucky to be able to work with so many students. One of the big things coming up, you'll also see on the list of upcoming events is auditions for level 3. So any student who's in level 1 has the option to try out to be in level 3, skip a grade, basically. But all the students in level 2 are automatically, that's their playing test for this trimester. So they're already trying out for level 3. But that's just something that I should let you know, and that's the Friday before spring break. So that's their deadline, and they should know all about that, but I wanted to let parents know about that coming up as well. So thank you. Good. Ends really quietly. Again, that's a 4-movement work, so that's just the first movement, so it ends a little quiet at the end. Those first two pieces, the Brian Balmages is one of my favorites. Again, Raging Rapids, it's about a friend who fell off a raft and ended up riding down the rapids, trying to hang on for dear life, and sort of the journey of that, and you can hear that in there. Good. The next thing, by the way, Cardinal Strings is performing, one of the many students, about 26 students performing at contest on Saturday over at Park Center High School, there's also 10 other performances going on that day of students everywhere from some of the 9th graders, as I mentioned, as well as some of the groups, students from level 2, as well as the next group that you're going to see up on stage. While they're still taking the stage, I'll tell you a little bit about the next piece. John Rutter is more known for his choral works than he is for his string works. This is probably the only string piece he wrote. And of course, it's based on a choral piece called "The Water Is Wide," or otherwise known as "Waly Waly." It's an old I think Irish tune. He's a choral composer who works at Cambridge University. Actually, Miss Johnson, the choir director here, actually studied and worked with him when she was in Cambridge doing her master's degree. And just a little side note there. And then the last piece we're going to do today, the Dvorak New World, very fun piece written in the New World, America. Based on what he thought of as folk styles of American music. So he was trying to base it off of African and Native American and European roots as well. So he was, that's part of what he's looking in that piece as well. So these are both sort of folk-based pieces. Again, one more of a British Isles, and this next one, and this other one's supposed to represent America, the second one we do. I should just tell you, too, I'm going to leave the stage, and not that as I'm going for coffee or anything. I'm letting the students take the lead on this next one. So. Thank you for your support of these students and being a wonderful audience for us tonight. We hope you enjoyed. Have a great evening, and please come back for more. There's lots of things, like I said, coming up in the next couple of months. So I feel like we just finished a busy month. This is like our 4th concert orchestra. We started off February 5th with the festival, then the performance at the convention center, and then we did one here at school, and now here we are. So, but it's fun. Thank you again.